Amaan Chowdhury. What's up, brother? Good to have you here.
Tim, Timothy. No, I'll stick with Tim.
Timothy
Good to see
Timothy
you, bro.
Ray. There's an L in the
Timothy, right?
middle too. There's an L in the middle, but no one knows what the L stands for.
Leadership.
No, no, and I don't like it either because I don't want anything related to L's in my name, like a loss. Like, refuse to have that.
Oh, I was, bro.
Good to have you here, bro. Good to have you. So tell me, like real quick, give us the rundown, I guess, to everyone watching. What do you sell? Like, what do you sell? What's your background in the sales space? Tell me where you've come from, who are you, and we'll go from there, man.
Yeah. So we'll start off from. I'm from a small town in the north of England. It is called Doncaster. It's not well known for much, and I got into sales. I took it sales around about a year ago. So I invested into mentorship myself at the end of 2022. I took out a loan. I put all my savings together. I was working like a cashier's job at the time, right? Wasn't much going on for me. And I just knew that I wanted to make money online, right? I went through the whole Andrew Tate cycle, right? Went through all those different business models, FBA, drop shipping, SMMA, ended up investing in mentorship for a copywriting program. And then in that program, interestingly enough, I worked with two clients, but copywriting was just not right for me. I always knew that sales was something that I wanted to be in, and I thought copywriting was that because it was sales in the written form as it was referred to in that program. But then I ended up actually getting an appointment setting offer for another marketing agency, or just a close friend in my network, and I then got offered an appointment setting role. And I was like, what the hell is appointment setting? I've never done this in my life. Saw there was another appointment setter in that same copywriting program, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I saw he was crushing. He made like 8.5K in his first
Mm,
month. I reached out to him. I was like, hey, bro, you got any tips on, appointment setting and how I can grow? He said, yeah, sure. Do you want to hop on a call in the next hour? And I said, could you do the next 15 minutes? Right. And then we ended up getting on Zoom. We spoke, we vibed, and he ended up being the sales manager of the offer that I'm on right now. So
gotcha.
he ended up mentoring me in sales. I then bounced around a few different offers before coming back to work with him. And that's where I'm at right now. So I've sold a few different offers. Right now, the main offer that I sell is BizOp. So
Mm-hmm.
helping people online make their first five to $10,000 a month with their own coaching business, or helping people who already have their own coaching businesses scale from $10,000 a month to $20,000 a month plus.
Classic.
So yeah, yeah, that's
Very
why
good.
that's why I sell now.
Yeah, amazing stuff. For you, bro, what I'm curious is like when you first heard of this whole online space, like everyone making money online, you have all the people pioneering this, whether it's Iman, it's Tate, um, two out of the billion, Jordan Welch, like whatever the names are, I could mention people just saying make money online, make money online. What do you think is unique about closing and being a remote closer relative to those other models? Because I think all of them can work. I think anyone who says it has to be this one is delusional. There's copywriter friends I have that are seven figures. There's ecom drop shipping guys. I'm in a co-working space right now, and a buddy of mine's in that office making printing money with his ecom store. Like, so you can make money, I think, anyway. But like for you specifically, what stands out about remote closing, and why is this the thing that you've decided to kind of hang your hat on and set your future up with? Why this?
For me, the first thing that comes to mind is the skill set and how transferable it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I did ecom for a little while, I didn't have any success with it, and I'm sure that there's a lot of transferable skills with ecom, right? Running your own ecom store. But for me, sales and just understanding communication at a high level, I knew that's something that I could use for the rest of my life, right? Whether it be me starting my own business and having my own offer, I knew that if I just get the most important part of the puzzle, which is sales, if I can just get that down to a very high level, then ultimately it doesn't even matter what I'm offering because I've got that skill set in the bank that I can leverage and sell. And also just for the other areas of life, right? Like dating, building relationships, networking, and just understanding leadership, understanding value. I think the principles of sales and just life really resonated with me. And I knew that if I wanted to change my life and improve my life, sales was not only the one that was going to help me build that skill set the most to do that, but also the speed with which it can happen as well, right? And I'm sure there's copywriters out there, there's people running Amazon FBA stores who have scaled very quickly. But the amount of success stories I was seeing from people in the sales space in just a short space of time was unlike anything. I think it's, yeah,
100%.
one of the only industries, right, where you can realistically go from like zero to making 5, 10K a month in just a few months. And to me, when I first heard of that, I was like, that is crazy, right? Because of the way that we've been conditioned to think, and
Yeah.
pay rises for just a few dollars or just a few cents, and to go from that to then,
Dude, that's
yeah,
insane.
making
Actually,
that.
I can't understand that. Like, I can, I guess now, but when I hear someone saying I got a raise of like 13 more dollars per hour, I guess over a year that scales to a larger amount. But it just sounds weird to me when I think of like comms months where I can do like 12K or 15K or 20K, right? And that's the control I have over it versus I got a raise and I put in 40 hours a week and I get like $8 extra per hour. It just sounds strange to me. The math
Wild.
checks out kind of, I guess. The math checks out, but you're limited, of course. You're capped for the year, but yeah, that's fucking weird, man.
Yeah, you're fully capped. I'd much rather be in control of how
Yeah,
much I make. And sales is
yeah.
kind of like, some people can say sales can be bipolar, right? Because you can go making thousands per day and then go weeks without not making anything. But I think if you have your skill set there in the bank, eventually the playing field like always levels out and your skill
And
set doesn't lie.
100%. And that's what I want to get into the numbers. So tell me about this. So I know that you believed in the dream, as we all did when you first came into sales. For me, knowing you, and I know you quite well now, we've been working together slash around each other for, let's say, 4 to 5 months. Because I know before you came and trained with me in pro, I had seen you on my sessions and we'd done some work together. What was like your financial target when you started really closing and just hopping on calls and getting that initial excitement? What was that target that you had in your head? And where were you stuck at for a while? Like where did you see your income kind of capped at for that time before you broke through after we did training?
For me, the goal was always 5 to 10, right? If I
Mm,
can make 5 to 10 consistently with closing specifically as well, that's where I wanted to be. Where I was getting stuck before entering like QL, even free sessions, was just being stuck at like 2 to 3, right?
mm,
So I was stuck at 2 to 3, and for me, the biggest challenge, the biggest bottleneck was just understanding objections and understanding like sales psychology and protocols and the reason why we do things. Like I was asking questions,
mm.
expecting answers that I didn't even know why I was getting them.
Can you give an example of one of those things, like based on the process we have? Like what's an example of one of those pieces of the protocol that you think that even a young like remote salesperson who's getting into this asks that kind of question and doesn't know why we ask it, and then it will affect something that happens later down the line of the sales call? What's one of those things?
Just those questions that really bring out the commitment in the prospect and actually challenges them. So asking them, okay, after X amount of time, Tim, why do you feel like now is the right time to really make that change
Put
as
on the
opposed
sales
to just,
voice. Put
yeah,
on the
as opposed
smooth,
to just
smooth,
pushing
buttery
it.
sales voice.
I'm just in that. I've lived and breathed sales for the past few months, right? So it's kind of like in my mind, ingrained, literally ingrained, right?
You
And
have
when
an
I close my
advantage
eyes,
as well, by the
see it.
way, because you have an English accent. I hear it. So you sell to American prospects. Everyone should know this, that Amon's close rate with Americans is 90% because of his UK accent. He doesn't need any protocols, nothing.
The accent. Yeah, the accent helps. I didn't realize it was a tool I had until I got into
Does it
sales.
reverse? Does it reverse for like for you hearing me talk? Does my accent sound interesting or does it have like a negative connotation to it because I'm American? What does it
I
sound
don't
like?
think it has any connotation. I just see it as it is what it is. Like,
Really?
yeah, like,
Interesting.
yeah. I mean, yeah, but I couldn't tell you from like New York, or I just, okay, he's probably from North
Yeah.
America, right?
Yeah,
Somewhere.
just America. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Americans, when we hear a UK accent, we immediately give you like 3 status points because of the accent. Yeah, there's been conditioned through
But
James Bond, Lord of the Rings, whatever the freaking
Harry Potter.
yeah, yeah, all of it, right? Okay, getting back to this. So you were talking about income being capped. You were hitting like 2, 3K because you didn't understand necessarily why you were doing things, why you were. delivering information, why you were looking for certain questions. Well, how did this manifest on your calls? Like, what were your calls looking like during this time? Because I know you were taking volume. You were on like 1 to 2 offers at different times, like stacking offers at times as well. What did calls feel like to you where when you didn't know where you were going in the call? Always like, what was that experience like looking back?
Looking back now, there was a lot more frustrating than I thought at the time. And I think it's because I didn't realize what I could actually do. So I was getting on calls as prospects and they wasn't giving me the right answers. And I was just kind of seeing that as, oh, okay, this is probably just the way he is. There's nothing I can do to
Mm-hmm.
change that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
classic examples, like when I was getting objections, uh, people would just say, okay, yeah, can we follow up? I would say, yeah, yeah, sure, man, that's not a problem. Let's just book in another call for this time. And they would give me the whole, oh, like you're so thoughtful and thank you so much for doing that. And then they would just ghost me a few days later. They wouldn't make a change. And yeah, in my head at that time, I just thought that was the done thing because I didn't know anything else, right? But now looking back, yeah, calls are frustrating. I was just getting shit on, pretty
Yeah,
much, I think it's fair to say,
yeah,
by
and
prospects.
100%. And it produces a cycle as well where on your, even if you don't fully realize the frustration, where on your next calls, you kind of start what I call gasping for air, as it were. Like you kind of just trying to settle for follow-ups and then start having calls that feel nice just to get the little wins under your belt, but you're not closing. And then you're stuck in like the follow-up cycle. Hopefully someone texts you back, from your follow-up pipeline. Which we don't want to happen, of course. But you solved it. We did training. You got way better, significantly better, rapidly better. That's for sure. And we'll talk about like what some of the training entailed and what was there. But let's talk new numbers. So one thing I think is interesting about you is that you haven't ever, I don't think, really pushed high volume in sales ever. High volume meaning like 20 calls a week. Like I don't think you've ever hit that point. And you
Never.
haven't needed to. Yeah, you haven't needed to because with your skill set now, from the numbers you've shared, you're on track to do give or take like a 6 figure mark, give or take that 8K per month range is where you can hit. You've hit 8K months, ranging between 6, 7, 8K with very low volume. So tell me about the difference in terms of numbers, closing percentage, I guess just cash coming in since figuring out the protocols, figuring out the process. What was the difference there? What was the flexibility just for what was literally coming into the account for you? What was that shift?
I would say for me, I mean, biggest things were focusing on my skill set, and I've never had like huge volume either. I've never taken more than 40 calls in a month, and some closers are doing that per week.
Mm,
Um, but for me, yeah, within the first month of just understanding the protocols, I went from I went from 3K to 8K. And that was for me like huge. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know this was possible, right? Most I've ever made in my life. And that month was an increase in volume since the offers I was on, it was pushing quite hard in terms of marketing. But
mm-hmm.
even when the volume did reduce, there wasn't a huge fall off because now my skill set was at a high level.
Yep.
So I didn't, and since going through QR Pro, I haven't made less than 6K in a single month. And I've firmly like established that's like my new baseline, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
baseline before was like the 2 to 3. So my baseline has risen, and in those high months where volume is higher, I know I'm
Mm-hmm.
pushing, yeah, that 6 figure mark, that 10K mark.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for me, just having that new baseline was huge. It was a goal that I was frustrated by, and I thought should have come much sooner because I did appointment setting for a while, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought I was much better in at sales than I was. So yeah, getting into sales and understanding like actual closing protocols, that was like a new like reality shift for
Yep.
me understanding that and seeing
Yeah.
like where my skill level actually was compared to where I thought it was.
Huge. Let's get a little bit technical, man. And seeing your journey unfold is has been amazing. We uh we have, for some of you guys who don't know, we have like levels inside of QO Pro, level 1, 2, 3, and recently added in 4 and 5. And basically in these levels we measure skill set. And seeing you go from like being, let's say, like a level 2 to like a level 4, which is actually a big jump. Um, and being able to even give value and kind of mentorship to other guys in the program, and just give them insights as well and become a leader in that sense has been pretty incredible. One of the things I think is that I would want to know from you is like in terms of the process and the protocols going down to the objections, because I think that's huge. What changed for you in terms of your approach to handling objections that gives you more security and consistency on your live calls? Like, let's actually nerd out on it for a second. Like, what's the
Yeah.
difference in approach, difference in process? Get a little bit technical. Tell me what you've shifted in the process according to
Yeah.
maybe some of the things we've trained on and just insights you've had. Where's the cash coming from on your calls when you're handling objections? How are you doing it?
The the first step is always, I think, the mindset shift and understanding that prospects are on a call for a reason, and they're not there if they don't have a clear problem that they're looking to solve. And when you understand that, you know that you do have that authority. And in fact, it's your responsibility, I would say, to stick in the pocket with them and actually call them out and not just fall to their bluffs. So the first thing I did was just stick in the pocket for longer, right? Even before getting really technical, I just started questioning people on their objections. And
Can you
instead of
explain pocket for
asking,
those who don't understand
yeah,
pocket?
so staying in the pocket is that moment where you're kind of like trading blows, like it's like back and forth, and you have a prospect in like a tight spot where you can either like quit and book a follow-up, or you can push and actually ask them better questions and bring them over the line. And just getting in that pocket, it's uncomfortable at first because you've never really done that before, and you don't know if you're doing the right thing. But having done that consistently over time and seeing the level of response I get from people having done that now is huge. So
What's the
yeah,
responses you're getting? What
first
does that feel like, and what does that look like versus what you were getting before?
it it feels like I'm actually helping people as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to just selling them. So before it was kind of like oh yeah, this program is nice and I might buy it, and I might not. And for me as a closer, oh well, if he buys, he buys. If he doesn't, cool. Whereas now it's like I am actually helping this person make a change in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
me doing this, me asking these questions, that is the difference between this person going from the life that they've hated for the past few years and living their dream life. So
Mm-hmm.
if I don't do that, I'm actually doing them a disservice. And who knows what's going to happen if, they don't move forward, regardless of paying for coaching, just in terms of making a change
Yep.
in their life. If people don't do that, that situation is going to get worse.
Yep.
So it's up to me to help bring them over that line. So first step was just staying in that pocket and understanding they're there for a reason. And from there, if we want to get technical, it was just, yeah, understanding that protocol of how to actually handle objections the right way and not just sounding aggressive or pushy
Yep.
in the way of just kind of like, yeah, badgering them, asking, oh, well, why, right? Because that's not always the best approach. So
Yep.
yeah, understanding the technicalities of how to actually handle an objection, what an objection actually is, and
Mm-hmm.
the different kinds of them. For me, that was like then the next step. So like mindset, and then the actual technicals of how we handle objections. Those are like the two things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mindset is a huge one. What you know, it's really cool, man. Um, and I'm curious more of your thoughts on this, but I think like as closers, sales pros, like we again, the amount of money we can make with such little work is ridiculous. It's actually insane. More than even I'm not even talking like sales like as done traditionally. Like I spend a lot of time on sales Reddit now just to see what else is happening in the market outside of our own little remote closing bubble. And bro, there's sales pros and they're talking about like maybe they have something where they'll get 50K comms, which is amazing. That's incredible. But it's taken them like 4 months of work to get the 50K comms, right? 4 months of work traveling around like an area in the UK, going into like stores, selling things. That's a whole different thing than we do, right? We're sitting here on Zoom making cash, doing months, 10K, 15K plus, just having conversations anywhere from 50 to let's say 70, 80 conversations a month, right? Which is half of the work people have in a 9 to 5 job, which is insanity. And I think one of the reasons we have that and this ability, we have this ability is because the market's decided that people that are problem solvers and solution creators and can connect those two things and directly stand in the middle of that bridge between someone's problem and someone's solution. That's a very, I think, unique skill set and unique trait to have. And that's also why a lot of closers fail, I think, because a lot of closers don't adopt both of those things, the ability to create a solution, pull it out of not thin air because the offer is the solution, but communicate it in the best way and then solve the problems, which is the objection handling, the leadership, right? And I think the ability to do that, which you've done expertly well, and you are continuing to get better at, and now you're making content about it, moving to becoming a leader in the space. I think that's where the money comes from. Like that's where the freedom that we're all looking for comes from. That's where the income comes from. Um, I want to ask you this, man. What's your big drive to like get good at sales to really create your impact and stamp in this market? Because you're one of the more driven guys that I know. When you came into pro, you're showing up to every session. You sent me more calls than the other guys. Like, and everyone in our program wants to get good, but some people just push a bit, just that little bit harder. You push freaking hard. Like when we started the community, let's say 5-6 months ago, you were all up in my business, jumping in like, hey, bro, let's do a chat. Booked a call with me, invested in that even before pro was available. So you want it, you're hungry for it. What's your, as we say on sales calls, like what's your holy grail? What's the thing you're moving towards? And tell me more about that. What's the drive for you?
For me, the drive is ultimately freedom. Freedom for not just myself, but also my family and the people around me. And a big goal of mine is to leave behind a legacy for generations that will continue um, way past them, just me leaving this world. That's like the big one, right? Just being that provider for my family, moving them out of the UK and just starting a new life. That's my big goal. Being the guy in my family who's changed things as well, because the way that things have been in my family, it's kind of been the same, right? Everyone kind of, yeah, just goes down the traditional working route or education. So the big
Why do
drive
you
for
feel
me
like
is
this
to be,
responsibility comes down to you? Keep going, but I want to steer it somewhere. Why do you feel like this
uh,
responsibility is on you? Why have you taken that on yourself?
I've taken it on myself because I feel like with what I have available to me, it's an opportunity that no one else has had. In that the access to education I have, the access to like learning, the relationships, and also just having been brought up. I've been lucky in that, you know, the my family before me, they grew up in third world countries, right back home in like Southeast Asia. And then even like my dad, he grew up in a much more like troubled part of the UK,
Mm-hmm.
where he had to really like again watch who he kept around him, and it was very, very rough. And I've experienced that to some level, but not as much as him, right? And then he also had to provide for his family at the time with, my granddad. He retired early due to his health, so my dad was pretty much the provider in the family since he was like 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that what I had, I didn't have to go through that struggle that those people in my family did before me. So if I don't have to go through those struggles, I can use what I have now and create something better so we don't ever have to go through that struggle again. So yeah, I just see it as I've got access to all the playing cards that no one else has had. And so it's only right if I do everyone else a good service here, actually use those in the best way, because this opportunity has never come around before in my family.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I have to do that. And I have siblings as well, I have sisters, but even for those, like they went down the education routes, and I tried that myself at first, and I
Mm-hmm.
always knew that wasn't what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's like I have to do this, because if I don't, no one else is going to get the same opportunity that I did for who knows how long.
Huge. Yeah, that's intense. It's an intense, like, I would say burden to carry when you really think about it. I think that maybe you'd agree with this. Day to day, you're not sitting with this in your head all day. Like, I'm the one who's the chosen one for my family. We're not sitting with that, right? But when you actually confront these thoughts, those little moments where you lie awake at night and you've had a long week, maybe, and it just kind of hits you, and you're like, "Fuck, I have to do this for them." Right. And I feel the same. I won't get into my whole thing. You guys may know some of this already if you've been seeing my stuff, but I can definitely share that with you, man. I want to look at another thing and get into kind of some details on training in itself. So I know that something that's helped you be in this position, where you're making money. You've had I would what I would call your initial breakthrough into cash freedom on a six-figure pace, and pushing that over the next couple of months, as the is the training, is investing in mentorship, in coaching and stuff. And I'm grateful that I've been someone that you've chosen to invest in and use the resources and support I have. I think that's amazing, and I want to look at what some of the value is there for you. So I know that you've invested with a lot of people, and I think some great people. A lot of great people in the sales space, as I do, people we both respect. You made a clear decision 3.5-ish months ago to train with me, which is, or 4 months ago, I guess, as of now, to train with me and to be in our program. What to you were or are some of the indicators that you would say make the way we do things at Pro, and just the style of training, the protocols, the way we put things together? What do you feel the biggest value is there, maybe relative to some of the other also good training in the sales space? And if someone were to say, I would roll with Tim, or why you rolled in our program, what would those reasons be? Like, what are some of those things you've looked for that you'd say really push us forward and separate us from some of the other training?
I would say the attention to detail
Mm.
in the protocols. And in that, and having invested in other sales training, most of them do generally follow the same structure, right, in terms of the way you should be on calls, what you should get, like you should get the fear, the whole design and objection handling. But it's not that nuances, and they don't go into detail and really break down the structures within those, right? So I'd say for me, it's just the way that the protocols were broken down, where every single thing, well, not every single thing, but the main parts that you needed to know to improve, they all had like exact guidelines of, okay, this is exactly how you handle an objection, right? It's this process, you follow it step by step. It's the same with the current state and opening up a call, what you need. The level of detail that I saw from there was just different to anything else in the space. Like, it was very technical. And for me, like, I'm a technical guy as well. Like, I love like just looking at protocols and understanding them, and more so as well. Once I understand them, I don't forget them. So because of that level of detail, for me, when I did understand them, it was like the transfer that I made in my calls was much quicker, because I actually knew why I was doing those things, and I knew them to like a very high level as well, right? In terms of, yeah, memorizing them, so that it was actually in my head and I knew them. So yeah, I would say, to sum it up, just the attention to detail in the actual the closing process.
Yeah, huge. And that's actually like one of the things that I wanted to put into Pro, to separate us from the other programs in the space. And we're still very small. Like, not a lot of people know about us at all, and that will change in the next year. But I always wanted this program and this training to be founded on how to get sales pros as good as quickly as possible, not like flash and none of that, but how to the intricate details of getting the skill set up from wherever you are to the next level and the next level as quickly as possible. And that, of course, translates into making cash. Um, would you say, I guess, going forward, for sales pros who may be looking at us, who may see this video in 6 months, let's say, or come into the school community and see our stuff, who do you think that this program would be the best fit for? Because I do think there's certain people that this isn't a good fit for. Maybe you don't, or do feel that, I don't know. But who do you feel could use this program the best? And if you were to advise people in your sales community, your sales friends, like, I think you could use this, who would that person be who could use the way we train and the style and the level of detail? Like, who would that be for?
I would say it would be for people who want to level up their skill set the quickest way. And I mean, in terms of actually understanding sales psychology and
Mm.
communication as well, right? Because that skill set, it's what's going to get you on a new offer if you're not already on an offer, or on a better offer, or help you scale on your existing offer. So I would say anyone right now who is already on an offer, who feels like they could be doing more, or who isn't aware of what's possible and wants to really take their skill set to that next level, I would say those guys, the
Yeah.
guys who are on offers and want to dominate and just be at the top of their company, or I would say people who are new into sales and don't have a general grasp on why we do things.
Mhm.
Because when you come into sales, it can be like a rabbit hole when
Oh yeah.
you understand, okay, there's so many different things. So people seeing that attention to detail and seeing this is exactly why we do these things and why we
Mhm.
ask these questions, I think those people could get the most out of this as well. So yeah, beginners or guys who are already on offers but want to just max out their skill set and really be that guy
Yep.
for the company or that girl.
Yeah, 100%. I think those. I would agree with those two. I would put like a an adjustment on the last one. So definitely guys who are in sales pros who wanna, and we're opening to women now. We've started allowing women in the group, so free for all now. Dominic actually was sending out some DMs, and he like said, "Hey, bro," it's like a copy paste to a girl who's inside. If she ever sees this, you know who you are because you probably
That's
saw that
about it.
message, and we're like, "What the?" No, but I'm like, Dom, we have girls here now, so you need to not say, "Hey, bro," to everyone. Just look at the profile picture and no, but and then I'll let you go. I want to just wrap with this like two things. I think one, yes, guys and gals who want to really build an elite skill set because that's what this is for. I think beginners, yes, but not people that are total newbies. Like if you're at zero skill set, never done a role play, we've been turning away people like that now because you're not going to make a return on investment from this program immediately. This program is for people that were in your exact position. You're on an offer or two, or you're very close to being on an offer, or you want to be on a better offer. Excuse me. You understand the game of sales to an extent. Like you get how calls should be run. Maybe you've done some training in the past, you're in some small group, but you want to take it to the next level and become like top 1% skill set, which really can be done. Don't let 1% scare you. That's a thing that you can achieve. That I think is who this is for, and that's my goal. Because I did that. Like I obsessed over this and became extraordinarily good at it in a relatively quick amount of time using the same process I'm giving you guys when we train. So I'll end with this, man. What is next for you? You are someone I consider a friend, and you are someone that I've grown very close to. Just talking to you like 5 days a week, on trainings and then one on one over the last 4 months, and our relationship will continue to grow as we've discussed outside of this. What's next for you for all these lovely people who are watching on whichever platform? Where can they look at your stuff and follow your journey and see you as one of the founding members of QL? Case study number one. Where can they look at your stuff, and how should they best learn from you? What are you doing next?
So what's next for me is I'm in the stage now where I'm transitioning out of just a closer. So that means making my own content and building my own brand, right? And actually educating what and documenting what I've learned and where I've been, right? Because I think, yeah, I'm lucky in that, I've been surrounded by people like yourself and I've learned a lot from people who are considered generally experts in the industry. So what's next for me is, yeah, building my own brand and making my own content, moving past just a closer so that I can then leverage more higher opportunity roles like sales consulting and management, right? Where I actually go in and I hire for teams, I build teams out, I train them. And I'm not just my value isn't solely based on just being on sales calls all the time. Instead, I can actually earn for, yeah, building out teams and taking potential rev share on that as well with less work. So that's what's next for me in terms of how the people can best learn. I would say follow me along on social media, follow my X, follow my IG. I'm also going to be starting YouTube soon as well. I'm actually, funnily enough, I'm actually scripting two videos right now. One of them is going to be my journey in sales, so stay tuned for that one. And the other one is going to be how people can land their first remote sales role in just 2 days with no experience. So scripting those out right now. Come along
What's the
and
second one
yeah,
called?
just how to land your first remote sales role in just 2 days with no experience.
Sounds like clickbait. Sounds like clickbait. It might
Nah,
actually
bro.
be clickbait.
Nah, bro. Pure facts and
Pure
nothing
facts.
else
Okay.
included in the video. Yeah.
There better
Pure
there
facts
better
and
be
value.
there better be a Miro flowchart loom that you're gonna show. to break that down, or whiteboard.
Bro, that's the exact video. That's the exact video that I'm going for. I'm just going for that whole Miro board, and
Good.
I'll be
Because
sharing
I
some
don't
good
know how to
stuff.
fucking
So
find a role and tell people how to find a role. 2 days and no experience. But if you know how, and you actually are really good at finding roles, so I mean that's part of us talking about what comes next. So that's good stuff. What's the YouTube channel like, or what's the Instagram, all the social media? Just Amaan Chowdhury, or how do we? I mean, I can put it in the bottom, but you can just say it here as well, because
yes,
some people are lazy and just type it in while they're
for
watching.
sure. Yeah, so I'll share my Instagram. It's just my name, Amaan.Chowdhury _ and then my X, I'll share that as well. And then from there, I'll include links where you can go along and follow the YouTube as
Yep.
well. So my X is just my name, Amaan C7629.
Okay.
So people can follow
Cool.
me there. I'll include links to find me on YouTube as well.
Yep.
And yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned for more. Follow the journey. And yeah, I'm excited to finally grow past just a closer and see what else I can do in this space and what more I can provide to the market.
I'm excited for you too, brother. You smashed it in program. You did super well. Really, really happy that we could work together and I could see you, you know, um, break into that freedom that you're looking for, and double your, or even triple, I guess, triple your earnings. That's really, I think, what this is all about. So happy I could be a piece of that journey, and looking forward to what we continue to do together over the next couple of years. As we build our friendship and this relationship. Goodbye, friends. Check out Amaan. Check out my stuff if you want to be like Amaan and make a bunch of money, and then one day start your own YouTube channel and make even more money. Start with Pro. It'll help you out. Goodbye.